We move now from Nevada's cannabis economy to a notable Nevadan in the history of dance. George Lee grew up in Shanghai, where he trained in Russian ballet. His mother was a dancer as well, and together they fled communist China, eventually ending up in New York City. The famous choreographer, George Balanchine, would select him to perform in the Nutcracker, and Gene Kelly later cast him in the original production of Flower Drum Song. Believed to be the first Asian dancer in the New York City Ballet, his story may have never been told until Jennifer Lin came along. She's the director of the documentary 10 Times Better and joins us now along with the documentary subject, George Lee. Thank you both for joining Nevada Week.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So 2 years ago, you two didn't even know each other, right?
That's
No.
correct.
And so as the story goes, Jennifer, you were in New York City at the library researching Asian dancers in ballet. Why that subject? And then what do you remember thinking when you came across George's picture?
I was working on a documentary, researching a documentary about Asian Americans in the dance world. And so I was very interested in researching the Nutcracker, and specifically the New York City Ballet's version of the Nutcracker, which is the gold standard, created by George Balanchine, who was a genius. And I'm looking at the publicity photos from 1954 of the Nutcracker in the library, and I saw photos of the Chinese dance from the Nutcracker. And there was a young Asian dancer by the name of George Lee. And he got rave reviews in all of the stories about the Nutcracker and the premiere. And I thought to myself, why don't I know who this is? Why don't I know who George Lee is? And what was also curious is that he never performed again for the New York City Ballet. So I just became obsessed with finding out who is George Lee and what happened to him. I used to be a newspaper reporter, so I know how to find people. And it took me about a month, but I finally found George Lee in Las Vegas and called him on the phone.
So, George, she called you. You told her, I'm dealing blackjack at the Four Queens.
Yeah.
What were you thinking when she said, hey, we want to interview you?
It was a big shock to me because I've been dealing blackjack and nobody know me. You know, I mean, I go home and everything, and nobody from dancing world wasn't there. You know, so, and then when Jennifer called and asked for George Lee, who was ballet dancer, she left a message.
A voicemail?
Yeah, so I call her back. I say, I'm George Lee, but I'm ballet dancer though. And then she said, oh, that's nice to meet you. And I say, why? No, nobody know me. And then comes Jennifer and start open up everything to me.
What do you mean by open up everything?
Well, open up, she showed me that you was a dancer, and you're Asian, and the first Asian ballet dancer in the ballet company. You know what I mean? So, and that was something I didn't expect to know. You know what I mean? But she showed me that this is what I'm looking for.
And how big of a deal you are.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, I understand you had an emotional reaction to that first conversation. What was it?
The first time I spoke to George, he said to me, why are you calling me? I'm nobody. And then he told me his life story. And beyond just his career in ballet and Broadway, his story is epic. Growing up in war-torn China, he was a refugee for 2 years in the Philippines. He came to America. He was going to be 10 times better because he knew he had to be, and he was, and he succeeded. To me, it was a real classic American tale. And the reason I was so anxious to tell it is not only is George a pioneer in dance, but he also represents all the people we encounter in the world who you never know what their story is. Like, there are literally tens of thousands of people who sat across from George at the blackjack table at the Four Queens who never knew they were talking to a man who was a very accomplished dancer. Not just good, but dancing among the very best.
George, when your mother told you, you have to be 10 times better,
That's right.
moving to America, you have to be 10 times better, what did you think?
Well, I can see why, because I'm Asian. So she say, you better be 10 times better, otherwise you'll be nothing, compared, So, and I thought, oh boy, that's a demanding for my mama.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure.
So I was working hard though.
Okay. What would your mom have thought of this documentary?
She'll be very, very, very happy. I know that because I did all my best. I put in, and all her work too, because she did a lot of work to teach me to know me to perfect. And she's the one critic. She's the biggest critic. Anything. If you go to the class, watch the class, and then come home and say, you done this wrong, you did this wrong. You got to do better.
So Las Vegas, you end up here because you're now performing in Broadway. What do
Yeah.
you remember about performing in Las Vegas?
It was exciting though. When I come here in 1961, and the whole company from Flower Drum was traveling then, we come here and for Queen, the
Thunderbird.
Thunderbird was so quiet. I thought, gee, we come into the wrong place. Next thing we know, when we open up, Thunderbird went up. People come in like crazy, though. Then.
Oh, I imagine.
That was nice.
And then naturally, as you get older, you can't quite perform as well anymore or as often. And so that's how you were introduced to blackjack and dealing blackjack. That must have been a hard transition. What was that like?
A little bit, because you become, during those days, they have the extra blackjack people. You got to stay online, So they club you so you come and take over the place. Not like nowadays. It's a little bit different now.
How did that work? Are you familiar with that?
No, this is news to me.
So you had to, they would clap and then you would come up to the table?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because you give the regular dealer a break.
Oh, I see.
So with the extra guys.
I see.
So that's why we stay online waiting, So.
For your chance.
Yeah, a little bit different than nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
And up until how long ago you were still dealing blackjack?
What about?
Last summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you turned 90 just on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you, man.
When people call you a pioneer in dance,
Yeah.
do you believe it now?
Well, to me, it's the world, but to me, I know that Jennifer told me, how things is, to be pioneer. No, I don't know what's a pioneer, to me. To me, it's like a regular day. It's working, go home, and things like that. But she says it's a pioneer. So that's why I learned the lessons. So I've got to be better then, you see. 10 times better.
10 times
And I
better.
did my best, I did.
Thank you, George Lee, and thank you, Jennifer Lynn. There will be screenings of this continuing, and eventually you're hoping to get this on a streaming platform?
Yes.
Okay.
We would like to, sometime this year, we will be available to broader audiences.
Thank you so much for joining Nevada Week.